Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Viticulture World. This is a cooperative expansion of Viticulture. It is for 1 to 6 players. It is designed by Mihir Shah and Francesco Testini. And it is published by Stonemaier Games. Viticulture was, this is a piggyback off of Viticulture, the base game.
Yeah, so we'll give credit to Alan Stone and Jamie Stegmaier for designing that game.
Nick's going to go through how you play this cooperative expansion, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to a setup game of Viticulture World, set up for 2 players here. I am not going to explain the game of Viticulture. We have done a review and an overview of that game. I'm just going to explain some differences, some key differences here in this cooperative mode. So we are set up for a 2-player. First off, I have this off the screen because nothing with the actual board, your own player board, has changed at all. So this is going to be off the screen. One thing that does change as far as what goes on your board is you're going to notice more meeples to start with, more workers. Normally you're going to start with whatever the card gives you, but in this mode you're going to start with 4 workers and 1 grande. You're going to eliminate 1 of your workers from the game total. And on 2 of these workers, you're going to put blue hats. They are only able to be deployed in the winter phase. And 2 with yellow hats, which will only be able to be deployed in the summer phase. Your granite can be deployed in either. Same with your trained worker here. These are considered, the ones with hats are untrained workers. Without hats, any without hats are considered trained workers. And you'll see why that matters. So let's go over some differences here. First off, we have events. So depending on the scenario, I just put out the basic introduction scenario. You're going to have an event here. I won't go into that as a spoiler, but I'll just mention that in this case, there's a spot where you can put workers and do an action. You also have these that are different. These are innovation tiles. All 4 of these are considered innovation tiles. And what they do is they improve upon actions on the board. They're going to overlay on these different spots. It'll say a letter right here, just in case you're not aware of where this should go. It says a letter here, so C, this is going to improve the plant action. In this case, you can plant up to 2 instead of just 1 card, and you will ignore the field's max vine value restriction for the second plant that you place. So this card where it usually says it's a max value of 5, on my second grape, I will ignore that. And I'll plant 2. So it improves upon actions. And there's a whole stack of them that improve upon actions. These over here are really cool because they allow any number of workers to go to spots. As an example, if I put this right here, I will not only will I get a bonus if I place a trained worker here, I'll get a bonus of a request an order card. I will also be able to open that up for my entire team to go ahead and deploy their workers here with no restrictions. As opposed to in a 2-player game, you only have 1 that you can deploy. Unless you use a grande, you can deploy a second. This would mean that we can all go there. Anyone can go there and then go there any number of times. And you get a bonus if they're trained. So that's cool. This symbol here just means that it's going to piggyback off over whatever is at its left. You have this, which you're familiar with. It's the wake up chart. Not much different except that in the when you go to the fall, you're going to get to pick any of these 3 bonuses. And note that the extra worker is considered trained because he's not wearing a hat. So you're familiar with that. You're going to choose that bonus. And then we're going to go into the main phase of the game, deploying workers. So we have these spots here. This is where I'm just going to go over things that are different again. So this is a spot that's different. You're going to pay for it to gain 1 innovation tile. That's one of these. So that's the spot where you're going to go ahead and do that. Now, it matters where I place these because there are something to lose or something to gain depending where you pick. So you can see in this plant area there is a cost of 2 lira. It will cost you 2 to put there. You'll spend 2 extra on top of the 4, and you can place this. You can see there's bonuses too. So this one will give you 1 victory point, and your team can get some cards if you go there. So there are pros and cons to going different places. This is just telling you that this is a very powerful action to use, and like harvest is a very powerful action. So it's going to cost you a little bit extra. That is really the only new action on the summer side. Once you get to the winter side, we're going to see that you can train workers. Well, we're familiar with that, but that's totally different in this game. Trained workers, you're just removing the hat of a worker that you already have. Remove the hat, that they become trained. they can do different actions. They can do those bonus tiles that have depictions on them like that once they remove the hat. So it's good to do that. That costs you 4 lira to do that. And you can sell wine equal to its coin value. And here's another one. So I'll mention how you win the game because this is applicable right here, where you spend 8 coins to improve your influence, I believe. So you're going to improve your influence in 1 spot here. This is a win condition. In a 2 to 3 player game, it starts at 3. In a 4 to 6 player games, it starts at 0. You need this to get to 10. That is one of the win conditions you'll have to meet. The other win condition will be everyone on your team has to hit at least 25 victory points before the end of round 6, year 6. Both those have to occur. You have to get to 10 and you have to get to 25 as a team. So this is where you go to spend money to gain that influence. Other than that, I think you're pretty familiar with everything out here. Again, what's really changing the game is upgrading these different actions, deciding as a team and doing things cooperatively. Another thing that you can do that is interesting is that you can assign a grande worker to any spot where your teammate is and do a trade action. So if they were there at the build the structure action, I could go here, initiate a trade with them, and this trade can be for any of these resources listed at the bottom left. You can trade coins, cards, grapes, wine with each other. It has to be agreed upon, obviously, but you can go there and do that trade with your teammate. You have to pick, if there was a bunch of players, you'd have to pick one of those players only. You can't trade with every single worker that's on there, every single person. You have to pick one, but you can do any combination. You don't have to trade card for card. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to give them anything, and you can only receive, or vice versa. You can just give and not receive, depending on the condition of the game, the state of the game. So everything else is the same. You're assigning workers. At the end, we're going to go up the checklist once everyone has their, I should mention, once you're done with your assignments of workers, you're going to go ahead and retrieve your workers right away. Then that kind of clears up the board for your teammate, perhaps. Then you're going to age grapes and wine, discard down to 5 cards, collect residual payments as you're used to, and advance the year marker. You play, so this will go down, you're going to play 6 years, you're going to start back over, reveal a new event, reveal these new tiles, and pick your wake-up order and keep going 6 rounds. You know your win conditions, you're going to go for those. And that is how you play. We're going to go back up top and tell you what we think of the game.
All right, and we are back. Thank you so much for the overview of this cooperative expansion. If you don't know how to play the base game of Viticulture, be sure to check out our other video about the base game.
Sure.
So, Nick, what were your first initial impressions when you opened up the expansion box? Because right now we have Viticulture with the Tuscany Essential Edition.
Yeah, Tuscany Essential Edition. This one, initial impressions, I guess, I like the hats and I like the scenarios, the layout of the box.
Yeah.
So, look, it's fine. I mean, there's nothing to criticize really with the look. I didn't have any initial impressions like too heavily one way or another.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that I can see there was a bunch of scenarios. So that's pretty cool.
I was right away excited to play Viticulture on a cooperative basis because so often I rank this game quite high in my top 50 games. However, I don't win ever. I don't win against Nick or anyone else. I like the game, I like the experience, so it was a no-brainer that I would like cooperatively approaching this game and being able to work with Nick, the master viticulturist over here, to get things done and achieve things together. So right away I was excited to do that. I liked that we were able to use our existing game and then add some components to the existing meeples instead of having to replace meeples. It was kind of neat to be able to use some of the same pieces that we were already using.
Right, cards and different things.
Yeah, the cards was easily replaced with other cards that just make more sense for the game. And then it's nice that you can just repurpose those things instead of having all these separate boxes. Like, things could really be put together.
It was interesting that what they decided to do, and that was that black border. Whenever you draw those black border cards, you just give them right back if you're playing the cooperative version. However, they replaced the single player version, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so positives then. Let's talk positives. Do you want to share some that, aside from things you've already mentioned?
Sure. As far as gameplay, I like the innovation tiles a lot. I think that really brings a new, clever twist to the game. The events, things are going to change every single round. I like that. The hats you mentioned, just a different way of training your workers as opposed to getting a new meeple. You start with more meeples and just make the meeples stronger, the workers
Yeah,
stronger.
more dynamic.
Yep. I mean, there's quite a few things actually I like. I like a lot of things about this game. The way you can now, everyone can go to a spot if you improve it with an innovation.
Yeah.
Now you can just really focus on, like, oh man, let's make these really, like, we're gonna harvest so much, and we're just gonna do that. I like the wake up track in this one, and I like how everyone can get the same bonus if they want in the fall.
Yeah.
So, and the way, obviously, a cooperative game, the way you're helping other people. This is a very cooperative game, very much. It's difficult to trigger off that cooperative where you have to put your grande where somebody else is, but you're very tactical with what you're doing. You're trying to accomplish missions which maybe improve your intrigue or whatever that is. What is that? I think it is intrigue. The bottom, the reputation or intrigue, whatever it might be at the bottom. The way you're doing that cooperatively, the way you're helping other people with victory points. You might even help them before you help yourself, depending on the board situation. The way you're gonna manipulate the money, everything. You're considering so much in the game. There's a lot to consider. Worker placement, the way you're gonna be able to do that with only one grande worker, knowing the situations, planning out ahead in the years to accomplish different things. And and I mentioned I love the scenarios, and I love that there is a lot of those scenarios. It's not just a one and done game. You're gonna want to see, and what's really cool about the scenarios as well is they. I was reading Jamie's in a forum. He was mentioning that each scenario focuses on a different thing, be it hand management, resource gathering, upgrading, all these different things. Like, hey, if you like this, try Oceania. If you like this one, try Africa. If you like this one, try Asia. And I think that's really cool. So there's a lot of pros to this one. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said so far. I really like that, we were able to work together. We had a really close one with Andrew and Sam. When we got to play it, we played it at 2 and 4 players. Mainly at 2, only once at 4. But the 4-player experience was so exciting. We went right down to the very last turn with so much luck of drawing specific cards. And there was just a sequence of events that the co-op really shone through there. And I think with the co-op, the most important thing with this game is that you're remembering to do those cooperative moves, because it's so easy to just not say anything to someone and just start playing out your turn. I mean, we just did that. We just played before this review, and I did that. I was going to places and hey, let's talk about this a little bit. Right? You want to be, especially if I'm going first, and now that's gonna determine when my grande is gonna come into play, because I'm going to take an action probably before you will.
Yeah.
And so it's, you really do need to converse with your partner about what you're doing, rather than and sharing items. I really like that. I like that you're able to share a variety of items too. It's not lame like, oh, you could just share cards or some money. It's instead, here's your, wine. You can share grapes. You can, share.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Cards.
Different types of cards. Yeah. So I appreciate that, and the money. And there is a skill to doing that as well, where you have to strategically know when you're going to be together on the same space. So it's not just like a shared pool of resources, which I think would be too easy.
Right.
Now, this game is hard, which is a pro to me. I like a game that's challenging, because we were able to play with Andrew and Sam and win, but we haven't won any other ones.
Right.
And we've done easy and medium scenarios so far, like an intro, an easy, and a medium.
Right.
So if you like to win and you like easy games that you can just roll through and win no problem, this probably isn't it, because he's pretty good at viticulture and I think I'm all right. I'm pretty good. We've played some strong games, some better than others, and weren't able to win. So
yeah, the only time we won was with 4. So we'll go to negatives.
Sure.
I'll piggyback back off that, and I'll say that it almost feels too difficult at 2 players. Unless things just line up, the stars align with what you're drawing out there.
Yeah.
And it's very luck dependent at 2 players. It's very luck dependent, because some of those tiles, those innovation tiles, we need that harvest all. We need it. If we're going to try to win, we need to have a harvest all innovation, because you start with just harvest 1, and that takes so much to do. You have to keep harvesting just to get a decent amount of grapes. And that's just workers. You're just burning through workers when you do that. If you can get a harvest all, I mean, you get a ton of grapes. You can have so much ability to manipulate the situations you're in with the requests and all that. You don't have that when you have a harvest one. It just takes too much to work, like too many workers devoted to harvesting when it's harvest one.
Yeah, and I think that even having the grapes as a mitigation for that they have these spaces that are giving you grapes. They have
You get a one grape.
You get one grape, yeah. So it's still not.
If you spend a worker and resources, whatever, cards or money or whatever.
So it tends to not be, that easy to harvest without that innovation. You're right, yeah.
Yeah. I love innovations. I love them. I love the fact that they all seem really good. It's just that one stands out as so good and so powerful and so needed that it doesn't. It's like every time we lost, we did not have that every single time. And the one time we won, we had it, and we had 4 players. So it helps. 4 players did help a lot because we were really using that grande to get trades. Really using it all the time. When it's 2 players, you do it once in a while, and you might not even do it when you have a chance. It's like, I don't really need anything because you don't have that many people to piggyback off of. There's only at most you can put down with 1 person, obviously by default. Whereas in the 4 players, I can maybe if we plan it right, I can trade with 3 people. Yeah. So that's a lot of pool. So I liked it better at 4, although it did take obviously longer. Any game would take longer, mostly any game. So that was a negative. It felt not lucky in that what tiles came out, and it was so hard. 2 players. We played the intro scenario twice. We played it twice, considering the one we won was the intro scenario as well. So that doesn't lend itself to easy play, and we barely won. We got on the last round. We got to 10. We finished at 10. Andrew finished it off 10 reputation or influence.
I think it is reputation.
I was thinking it was influence, but I don't know. Or innovation, something with the I thought, and we finished. Barely got Vic over the finish line at the very last turn, and she had to do several things had to line up for that to happen. Where she can retrieve workers,
crazy,
and she did a double action that she had in the event. So then she was able to do a winter and fill or whatever it might have been, one of those. But it took a lot to line up, and then we finished with we have to have all 25. We finished with 25, 25, 26, 26. I believe that's what we finished with.
Yeah.
So we crawled to that intro scenario victory. So we have not gotten terribly close in the other scenarios. We did Oceania, which is medium.
Asia.
In Asia.
Which is easy.
I know off the top of my head, because we just played Oceania, the medium one, that we got 21 and 24 at the final score, and we only had like 7 or 8 in that reputation. So not terribly close, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty punishing, and so while I said that I like that, I also, I want to win. Sometimes I want to win it too. I would like to, and I don't know.
You want to have a chance. Like, you want to feel like you have a chance in round 4. You're like, we're not going to win, dude. We're just finishing this out, really.
Yeah, and that's such an underwhelming feeling. And, I don't know how easily that's addressed, because adding a 3rd player, like,
that would help a lot.
Like a dummy player.
Oh. Yeah, 1 person can play as a 3rd player.
Like, that's lame. That's not useful. So that's the only thing I can think of that would immediately remedy a 2-player. We haven't played it solo. It does have a solo feature. We haven't tried that. But if you have, let us know in the comments, or if you've tried this, if you find it difficult. For me, in terms of negatives, that I can think of, the one that you said about being difficult, which I also call a pro, is I'm kind of crazy like that. I don't have much, I guess. It's the same stuff with Viticulture that can be a con of, I wish I just could have done one more thing at the end there, or I wish I had one more worker. It's always that feeling like I had to sacrifice an action in order to do another action, but that's part of the game. That's what makes the game that it is. So I can't call it too much of a con. I guess some of the upgrade innovation tiles, while you had mentioned that we want to get that that everybody can harvest all the fields. It's nice to also have those tiles that are the oval shape, so that you can open up the action, have more players go there without having to use a grande. But some of them are really useless.
Some of
some of them are
upgrades?
Like an arrow. It's like an arrow up.
Oh, it can be if you don't have.
And so some of them that come out, they're not amazing, so you're kind of just putting them out there just to open up the spot, but it's like an arrow up to something.
To a spot that we wouldn't have upgraded. So,
so I feel like that is unfortunate, but hey, I guess they couldn't just give you all innovations with every possible reward that you could have. Yeah.
Any other negatives? I don't. I think I want to say that we since we played Africa, I'll point out that it seemed like it was designed on purpose to make it harder at 2 players because all the events in Africa, sorry, it wasn't Africa, it was Asia, right?
Asia, yeah.
In Asia, they were saying the scaling was if 2 to 3 players, you need 2 players to do this. I mean, well, that's 100% of the players at 2, so we both have to do it. Whereas we can have a little bit of room at 3, we don't have to do this thing that may, not something we actually really wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we have to. Like, we know we have to if we want this certain reward. It's nice that thinking and playing at 3, and maybe we have a better chance at winning. Whereas I felt like we really didn't really have a chance of winning. I mean, we play really well, but not well enough at 2. And I feel like it at least is possible at 3 and 4.
Yeah, and to put you on the spot, what do you think is more difficult, the Reckoners or Viticulture World?
If we just played, it depends on the scenario. If we were gonna play, I would feel more confident in winning against in the Reckoners, because I don't know. I just feel like okay, at least we got close ones. This one, I feel like I just played pretty optimally.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah.
And lost, and it wasn't even terribly close. It's kind of like demoralizing. It's like even if I did get 25 points, I still had to spend 3 more workers to get $8 more dollars to get the influence or whatever up 3 more spots. So even if I got 25, I'm still short. I'm still $24 and 3 workers short.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's substantial, and you can't even do all those unless you upgrade the tile where you can put all your workers. Because there's no way I can go there 3 times. On my own, I can go there twice at max.
Yeah, so a lot of sacrifices being made in this game when you're making choices, and then some of them you're still left wondering. And that's how I felt too. Is like I played pretty well. I thought even when all those things had to go right with Andrew and Sam, and I was sharing resources with people. I felt like we were all working well.
We can do different tactics. I mean, we tried it. We tried somebody that really does a lot of grapes, and somebody does a lot of coins, and just mixing and matching. Trying to work with it there, and it works to a degree with more players, but with only 2, it's rough. It is a rough one.
You can't really do that, yeah.
It's rough.
Well, score time, I think. My score for this game is a high one. It's a 9.1.
Woo!
I like playing games with Nick.
So, would you prefer this or Viticulture? What would you rather play?
This, because then I don't lose.
Okay.
Against you.
Okay.
I lose with you.
All right, I'm at the spot where I'm happy to mix it up.
Yeah.
Once in a while do that, once in a while do that. Kind of like Concordia, like mix it up.
Yes, and so I would say I would still play Viticulture anytime. I'm not going to say this replaces it and I'll never play regular Vidi again because I like the process. I like harvesting, putting out the grapes, all the cards, so interesting. Love that. That never gets old for me is all the cards, all the options, things that you can decide to do. Yeah, so...
All right. Well, I think I would pick regular Viticulture over this, if given a choice, like if I had to. But I like the mix-up. I like to play both if we're going to do it. Sometimes this one, sometimes the other. But I'll give the edge to Viticulture. But keep in mind that is my number 10 game of all time. So there's that. So my score is an even 8 on this one, just for the luck and the difficulty of it. That does, it's hard to argue that it exists. I gave it a lot of pros. That's what's carrying this game. I like a lot of things it's doing. I actually love a lot of things it's doing. I think it really did a really nice job of those things. It's so difficult, and there's obvious to me when I see those innovation tiles, and I play 5 games, and 4 of those games don't have the harvest all, and I feel like that's the best one. I'm always rooting for it to come out, and it doesn't. And then you're like, I don't think we're gonna be able to win because I need that harvest all. I need to. It's the quickest way to get VP is to harvest a lot and make wine tokens.
Yeah.
If I can't harvest a lot, I'm resorted to visitors to give me points that way and just kind of crawl through and not get as many points.
Yeah. I don't know if they should have printed it on the board, maybe just given you a harvest all, just made it harvest all instead of the one field or even harvest multiple fields. I mean, they could have done some things. Now at this point, I don't know what can, and I asked this earlier, I don't know what can remedy that to make it more fair for 2, because we're going to play the most of the time at 2. It's more unlikely we're going to play this at 4, but hey, it's a fun challenge at 4 because I liked that we were able to win it.
That was an epic game, and that really helped it. That 4-player experience with Andrew and Sam was an epic game, epic finish, but you're not going to get that every time. So I guess take it with a grain of salt. Like, that happened, but it's not the norm. It's not going to happen very often. It might be the only time it ever happens. But it was an amazing experience at 4. We had a great time, and everyone, I think, loved it because it just was so nail-biting to the end. Everyone contributed in that win. We couldn't have done it without any person. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for watching our review of Viticulture World. If you have had a chance to play it or just the base game or have anything to say about it, let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel, like the video if you're able to, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.